It's a familiar sight in Hong Kong, the world's top destination for mainland Chinese tourists. But thanks in part to the power of social media, that's about to change. From this to this, according to a new report by Hong Kong research firm CLSA.
They want to go to the next place, the next exotic place. They don't want to be the guy or the girl that's been to Hong Kong putting a picture of the Star Ferry, or ICC or IFC, or they want to go somewhere new. Even for some of those people, going to the Eiffel Tower is not good enough anymore. So we're seeing people travel to these more exotic locations. So if they're going to Europe, instead of going to Paris or Milan now, they might be looking at places like Greece or Croatia. So it's really trying to find that next destination.
As of last year, nearly half of China's 100 million outbound tourists went to Hong Kong. But that number, says CLSA, is likely to fall to 26% by 2020. So where do they want to go?
Next year I'm going to graduate. I want to go to Italy.
I want to go to Seoul, and ideally I want to go to Europe. That would be best.
And this is where they get their inspiration. CLSA says that some 3/4 of all Chinese travellers now use social media to get an idea for their next getaway. Browsing photos and sharing their own on message app WeChat. Tourism boards around the world have taken notice. The city of Los Angeles is just one destination that's created an account on Chinese microblogging site Weibo aimed at potential travellers. And with up to 200 million Chinese taking a trip every year by 2020, there's big money at stake.
The world it needs to be prepared for this onslaught of more Chinese tourists, and I think for a lot of industries they should be very excited about that.
They're saying, Hong Kong, we have arrived. But it's social media that will decide where they go next. Andrew Stevens, CNN, Hong Kong.
Every morning you could hear Hitler's voice on the radio screaming about the Jews. The Jews were the problems in the world. I will wipe the Jews off the face of the earth. We are now worried that we are doomed. I was a successful fashion designer here for about 30 years. This was very popular. When I started to speak, I realized that that's more important than the fashion. And I just left my business. In 1938, there were attacks on the Jewish communities in Germany. They dragged the Jews out of their homes, they beat them, they humiliate them. They take us to the railroad station and they tell us to pack into these cattle cars. In one of the corners was an empty bucket. That's going to be our bathroom. The door opens, my sister and I jump off the cattle car. I see rows and rows of wooden barracks. There are human skeletons walking around in striped pajamas. Chaos, loud screaming, crying. There was no time to really look for my parents. My sister was telling me, wait for mother and dad. And that's when I looked around and I realized that I will never find them. It was impossible to see. In the middle of the night, out of 4 brick chimneys, fire and smoke starts shooting to the sky. The sky becomes red, ashes falling all over. We are crying, everybody, and daybreak comes, and I ask when we're going to be reunited with our parents. You don't see the chimney and the smoke and the fire. There go your parents. And when you go through those chimneys, she says, you will be reunited. In Auschwitz, you didn't do anything. You vegetated all day long, waiting to be killed. The Russian soldier rides in on a horse with medals all over his chest, and he yells in Russian, Yevrei, Jews, da, yes, we are Jews. And he beats his chest, and he yells to us, Ya тоже Yevrei, I'm also a Jew. And We all start crying. He tells us the war is over. That was our liberation. I just turned 90 years old. As long as my mind keeps working and I can speak, I will tell the story because the world must learn to live in peace with each other. My name is Renee Firestone, and I am an Auschwitz survivor.
I can't remember what we sounded like, but some people say we weren't too bad. Marsch Militär by Schubert. You can hear it now. Auschwitz, I knew all about what's expecting me there. By that time one knew what was going on, you know. One couldn't quite believe it. One talked about gas chambers, but he said it can't be, you know. It's not possible. We arrived there at night. We were just a few people in a prison train arriving in Auschwitz. Dogs barking, I mean, atmosphere was pretty dreadful. Various prisoners do the tattooing and the shaving of hair, etc. And the girl who was doing me, she asked me what I was doing before the war. And I said, I used to play the cello, you know. It seems a completely ridiculous thing to say in Auschwitz. I played the cello. Fantastic, she said. You'll be safe. We were the only women orchestra, if you can call it that. Consisted of children, more or less, in the annals of concentration camps. And everybody who could play anything, you know, a little bit of mandolin and scratching on the violin. It was a very peculiar collection of, there were about 5 people who could play their instruments. The rest were all people who were trying to be saved into this so-called temporary survival possibility. From the camp point of view, we were privileged. There were people who thought it was wonderful to just shut your eyes and forget where you are for a few minutes. And there are people who find it very offensive. And I can sympathize with that. Music here, we are in the biggest cemetery of the world here, without graves. Nobody thought we knew that eventually we'll go through the chimney. But the feeling to actually go away from Auschwitz was fantastic. We didn't care where we were going, as long as we were going away from this unspeakable hell. The cello has become a sort of red line through the life. All my grandchildren are musicians. Everybody plays the cello, except for 2 of them. My name is Anita Lasker-Balfish. I am a survivor of Auschwitz.
2 worlds are about to unite. A reunion made in a familiar place.
That used to be just a sitting room.
Because of a blocked dryer vent last December.
In the back.
A problem.
Yes.
That led to a solution.
Oh, it is so good to meet you.
For a scattered family. The remedy?
Andy, I'm a hugger. Oh, thank you. Thank you for getting up in that attic.
Hidden treasure.
We did not even know they had those letters.
Yellowed envelopes Andy and Jessica Green found in their attic.
It was up against the wood.
A time capsule to World War II. A tucked away love story.
She was in letters.
But word travels quicker than it did decades ago.
Homeward bound.
From Dale Simpson's Navy boat, overseas to Virginia Sims.
There'll be a civilian home to you for good.
Jessica tracked down the Simpsons' daughters online.
The second I saw the handmanship, that penmanship, I knew it was my dad.
Words that drew them to their parents' old home.
It's got the same floor plan and everything, and it feels the same.
To see the miracle for themselves.
I'm sure Mother put him up there, or Daddy put him up there, but we kids never knew anything about it.
Uncovered secrets.
I don't think these letters could have found a better place to hide than with your family.
A relationship weaved through 828 letters.
They didn't have any kind of open display of affection.
The first one dated.
Do you want to read the very first one? You're the eldest.
Back to 1942.
We're losing our memory, so this is going to remind us stuff that I can't remember.
Written lines of devotion.
It makes me glad that I do my fighting for a country that places God above anything else.
And adoration.
It makes me wonder what God has in store for us. Maybe He will try us. I hope we won't be found wanting.
Between a couple married for half a century.
Years later, they were older and they were still in love.
Who died about 20 years ago.
Don't forget me, love, Dad.
That is so special. We'll never forget him.
No.
Neither one of them.
Cherished insight into their father's character.
We knew he was a great man, but he was a great young man.
Morals passed along decades later through the eyes of the Greens' 8-year-old.
I love the army and I'm going to join the army.
And although the meeting was brief and Jessica's favorite pastime gone,
The love that was in these letters, it doesn't need to be hidden.
the Greens are left with a token of courage.
I actually get to finally see a real life one from a real soldier in a long time.
Dale Simpson's dog tag slipped into their hands from this purse.
People like Mr. Simpson seem to have been are hard to come by anymore. To have this peace that he had with him is very humbling. And it'll be well taken care of.
For Daybreak Today, I'm Ashlyn Tubbs.